Hey, just a couple of things that I wanted to share with you real quick before we launch into the whole discussion. I just want to say that I see that the conversation about our relationship with our bodies can be really fraught. And I just want to be really clear that the whole purpose of today's talk is to consider our bodies as we would a friend. No bit of advice that you will ever find online is ever going to replace your intuition. So please do just take whatever's on offer here, and anything that doesn't feel right, I hope that you just know that's not for you and leave it for someone else. I'm not a professional. I'm just a person with a life that I hope by sharing will be valuable and comforting to someone else. Speaking of bodies, I was walking home from a date yesterday when I saw that the vegan ice cream shop that just opened up in my neighborhood was still open at 10 o'clock, and I was stunned. So I quickly pivoted on my heels in my new fire engine red cowboy boots and stepped off of what felt like an 18-inch curb with a bit of a ditch at the bottom of it and twisted my ankle. And so now I'm home just resting. But I think that this is apt. I tend to prioritize my relationships over myself sometimes, and I've been engaging in activities that are fun and harmless, but nevertheless likely a form of avoidance for some self-reflection that I've been meaning to be doing. Is that something that you deal with too, where you feel like you're always going, and you don't take the time to really listen to your own needs? I hope that you enjoy everything that I'm about to share with you, and it's really a pleasure to be able to be here and chat with you, and thank you so much for listening. Hi, I'm Lizette. If you're new here, so am I. I have put myself into remission from my autoimmune disease twice. Whatever I'm about to say is not going to replace any important information from your doctor, but I hope that it's a little buoy in this ocean of confusing information when it comes to taking care of yourself. So, let's talk about our bodies. So what does it mean to have a relationship with your body? When we talk about relationship, what are the hallmarks of a good relationship? Good communication, trust, loyalty, respect, forgiveness, acceptance, and so on. Having a good relationship means receiving these things and giving these things. It's the same thing with our bodies. One thing that's really important that I want you to realize is that your body is already giving you all of these things without being asked. All of the time. It's unconditional. Your body isn't withholding any of its gifts from you because you don't reciprocate them completely. Your body is ceaselessly in service of your well-being. That's it. That's something that you need to know. So how do we cultivate this relationship that we already have with our body? It's just like developing a relationship with a human being. Listening is a skill. If you want to get to know someone for the first time, what do? You practice listening. So in the context of our relationship with our body, of course, listening to the sounds that our body is making is one way to listen to our body. But listening goes beyond that when it comes to having a relationship with ourselves. You know when it's time for sleep. You know when you need something to eat. You know when you've had enough. You know when you need to maybe move a little bit. You know when you need to move a little bit less. Your body is communicating. So listening to your body is the first step to really deepening your relationship with it. Now that you know how to listen to your body, you might want to speak to it. For me, the first thing that comes to mind is thanking it. I used to be frustrated with my body. I used to say, I can't eat anything. Why can't I just eat this? I would kind of yell at it or at myself. If there are symptoms that you're experiencing, right, if your particular situation is that you're unwell, you have a disease or some kind of imbalance, the symptoms are your body healing itself and or telling you what it needs or doesn't need in order to continue that process And so when you speak to your body, you might express this gratitude. You might say, thank you for moving me through space. Thank you for allowing me to see the faces of my loved ones. Whatever it is that your body has done for you lately that you want to acknowledge, it hears you. Feel free to communicate that. Another way that you might communicate with your body is asking it questions. It's going to require some imagination in order for you to be able to accept or take in this skill. For me, a lot of the questions that I've asked my body have to do with food. When I go to the grocery store, sometimes if there's something that's particularly hard for me to digest, if I put it close to my stomach, I can feel my stomach kind of hurts. I don't want to say it hurts, but like, I don't know. It just feels unwell. Another thing I've heard when you're at the grocery store, you can hold something that you want to see whether your body wants to eat it or not. You can hold it in your hands close to your body and ask it, do you want to eat this? And if your body leans slightly forward, that's a yes. If it leans slightly backward, that's a no. And if it's neutral, use your best judgment. Just try it out. You can ask your body questions and you can be very deliberate about the information that you want to receive, and it will respond to you. This includes everything from, do you need more? Are we done? Should we go to the gym? Or are we punishing ourselves and should we just stay in bed? Or should we stay in bed? Or are we being a creature of habit and we should challenge ourselves? The final point about communication with your body is this opportunity to experiment with it. This really addresses those of you that have something about your body that you want to change. You may experiment with your body. And there are a couple of caveats that I want to add. Just in case I didn't address this earlier in the video, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a mental health professional. I am here as a human being who has gone through some of these things themselves and just wants to share them with you. Experimenting with your body can be any variety of things. Athletes experiment with their bodies all the time. Working through an injury, for example. Can I get through this? But you can also experiment with your body when working out, whether you need to increase weight or decrease weight. You might experiment with different diets. One caveat that I think is important to mention, good healthy experimentation requires really good communication, really good speaking and listening. Because if you aren't paying attention, then you aren't getting the messages about what your body needs. And perhaps it's safe to push past the comfort zone and exceed the threshold of what the body is comfortable with in order to move past a certain level. And this might apply to athleticism, for example, with athletic conditioning. For me, I was experimenting a lot with food because I was healing a gastrointestinal disorder. So there was a lot of experimentation with what I could and could not eat. And so I was recording everything that I was eating and I was writing down the way it made me feel. At the beginning, the way it made me feel really constituted a lot of physical feelings. So was I experiencing increased inflammation or fatigue or energy? Later, I also started to pay attention to the way that the food made me feel mentally. All that being said, I think experimentation generally is something that's really healthy and I encourage everyone to do. The final thing that you should know is that your body loves you. This is not something I'm telling you. There's a difference between you understanding this intellectually or agreeing with me and being generally like, yeah, you're right. I think you're right about that. There's a difference between an intellectual understanding and a knowing. You need to know, in closing, that your body loves you unconditionally. It's there for you all the time. And it will perform even better when you reciprocate. So that's it for this video. I hope that it maybe shifted your perspective. If you want to see more content about healing, put an emoji in the comments. Pick your emoji. It's fine. We'll figure that out later. Make sure you subscribe, but I only want you to subscribe if you really want to. I think that you might enjoy being here. All right, well, that's it for this one. Until the next video, take care.